Hey guys, so I'm going to go over writing linear equations when given 2 points. So we're just going to given 2 points, and you'll be able to write an equation that will give you a straight line. So the essential question, how do I form linear equations when given 2 points? Well, let's find out. First thing you know when you have 2 points is you can grab the slope, okay? First thing you want to do is find that slope. If you remember the slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And again, I did give you that that little shortcut where we would stack the points. Okay, and if you stack the points, you'll know which one to subtract first, and you don't mix up the numbers. So again, if you work that way through stacking, go ahead, you can do the same thing here. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, and we're going to talk about standard form. We're going to switch these equations to standard form. So the type of linear equations we're going to write are standard forms. All right. Now there are a couple rules about standard form. We talked about it a little bit before, but again, if you don't remember, the rules are that a, okay, cannot be negative. A cannot be negative. Another rule is no fractions. So if you have a fraction, you gotta switch things around so there are no fractions. Multiply by a denominator. Make sure a is not negative as well. Okay. All right. So let's do an example. First are a couple examples of kind of review of just getting the slope. So what I mentioned about stacking is you can put this slope, this point under it, and you'll know to subtract the y's down first, and then subtract the x's and divide them, because your slope is always change in y over change in x. Alright, but if you wanted to do the whole point, the x1, x2, and then y1, y2, and plug it in, it still works the same. You're going to get the same answer. So if you notice, subtract the y's first. Y2 is 4 minus 1, y1 is 1. Divide that by your x's, which is 3 minus 2. That will give you 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 2 is 1. Your slope is 3. Alright, that's just grabbing slope. Alright, let's check the other example. So again, you can stack them to 6. That just tells me to subtract the second numbers, the y's first. So negative 1 minus 6 over 3 minus 2. That would give you negative 7 on top over 1. Your slope would be negative 7. Alright, so let's start actually writing the linear equations now. That is the first step. Always grab the slope first when you're giving those 2 points. So let's go ahead and do that. So write the equation of a line that passes through the points 2, 1, and 3, 4. So I can go ahead and do the stacking method. 2, 1. Subtract the second numbers first. So 4 minus 1 over 3 minus 2 equals 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 over 2 is 1. M is just 1. I'm going to circle that, okay, because it's important. I'm going to use it again, but it's not my final answer, because what I'm asking for is slope-intercept form and standard form. Alright, so let's look at that. That's M. Now here's the point that may be new. So I know that y, your equation, your slope-intercept form is going to be y equals M, which I just found out was 1. Oh, did I say 1? Excuse me, I'm sorry. That should be 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3. Sorry about that. Yeah. Sorry I didn't catch that the first time, but make sure that M is 3. So that means 3x, and then B is something we don't have. You need the y-intercept. But if you are given a point, we're given 2 points here, you can plug that in and solve for a B. So what I would do is I would take the x value, that 2. This would go where the x is, and then that y value of 1 would go over where the y is. Alright, if you plug those in, you'll be able to solve for B, because now you have no other variable but B, because if I plug in a 1, it'll be 1 for y equals 3, and then I plug in a 2 for x. Alright, following my arrows, plus B. Alright, B is alone now. B is the only variable. That's something I can solve for if I just solve for B. They're the only variable I know what B is going to equal. So if I solve it out, parentheses first, 3 times 2 is 6. 1 over here. Okay, bring down the B, and then to solve to get B alone, I got to get rid of that 6. So I'm going to have to subtract 6. Subtract 6. That gives me 1 minus 6. 1 minus 6 would be negative 5 equals b. That's your b value. Now plug that back into your slope-intercept form. Y equals 3x minus 5. That is your slope-intercept form. That's the first part of the answer. Alright, now here's the thing. Now I want to put it in standard form. If I have the slope-intercept form, I can move things around until you get the standard form. So to move things around, standard form again is ax plus by equals c. Those rules are no fractions, a can't be negative, but if you notice, x and y are always on the same side. So what I need here is, you see how the 3x is already here, it's already positive, sure. We got to move the y over here, and we got to get the number alone, so I got to move the negative 5 to the left side. The way to do that, alright, so if I want to move things, that means I got to get rid of that y, so I'm going to subtract y from both sides. That gives me, alright, 3x minus y on the right side. But again, at the same time, I also want to get rid of this negative 5, so I want to add 5 to both sides. If I add 5 to both sides, all that's left on the right side would be 5. So I'm kind of taking two actions at once. But your equation should be 5 equals 3x minus 4. Now if you want it exactly like the ax plus by equals c form, just flip it around. It would be 3x minus y equals 5. That is your standard form. Okay? Now let's do one where there's fractions. So I'm going to skip over one, but write the equation of the line that passes through the points 5, 4, negative 5, negative 2. So go ahead, find your slope first. 5, 4, stack them. That tells you to do negative 2 over 4. Wait, 2 minus 4 over negative 5 minus 5. That gives you negative 2 minus 4 would be negative 6. Negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10. And if you reduce that, 2 goes into both of those numbers. You should get 3/5 as your slope. And then from there, find your y-intercept. So y equals 3/5 x plus b. Alright, I'm going to plug in one of the numbers. 5 for x, 4 for y. Plug in one of the points to our equation. That gives me 4 equals 3/5 times x, which was 5, plus b. And then solve for b. So multiply 3/5 times 5 gives me 3. Bring down the 4 plus b. Subtract 3 from both sides. That gives me 4 minus 3 is 1. So b is 1. Put it in your slope-intercept form. Y equals 3/5 x. And then b was 1, so plus 1. Alright, that is slope-intercept form. Okay, now I got to move things over to standard form. Now the thing about standard form, again, you can't have fractions, right? So go ahead and get rid of that fraction. To get rid of fractions, you just multiply by the denominator. By denominator. Alright, denominator being the bottom number here. Okay, I'm going to multiply everything by that 5. So what I mean is, excuse me, y equals 3/5 x plus 1. The y gets multiplied by 5. Everything here grouped together gets multiplied by 5. So 5 times y, 5y equals 5 times 3/5 x. Now if you notice 3 times 5, if you multiply them by the denominator, it just becomes a 3x. And then 5 times 1 is 5. So it's plus 5. And now you just move things around to standard form. So I want to move the 5y over. Okay, there's no fractions. 3x is already there. And I also want to move this 5 over. So to do that, I would subtract 5 here. And then to get rid of 5y, I would subtract 5y here. That gives me an equation of, let's see, 5 equals 3x minus 5y. That's your standard form. Alright, that is it for now. We'll do the other examples in another video, but hopefully we got the whole fraction and just switching around to ax standard form as well. Alright, that's it for writing linear equations given 2 points, and we'll finish the other examples in another video. Thank you.